Rowan must deal with the aftermath of her mother's death as she comes face to face with Lasher. Hello, entertainment enthusiasts. This is Ray, and this is the Fandom Realm. And today I am reviewing episodes 3 and episode 4 of Mayfair Witches. Episode 3 is called Second Line. Episode 4 is Curiouser and Curiouser. And I'm just trying to catch up a little bit on Mayfair Witches here with this double episode. I'll be doing another double episode probably sometime next week. Now, with that, last thing before I get started, I just want to let everybody know I do have a YouTube short out there. I'm linking it in the description, and it's my top 10 actors and actresses 21 and under. And I'd appreciate it if you take a look at that as well. And now, let's get started. So, basically, before I get started, I'm just going to say I'm going to try to let you know what's going on in these clips, but this thing cuts back and forth so much, it's really hard to do. But basically, these first clips are showing the aftermath of Deidre's death, and we're going to get to see basically Cyprian telling Rowan about the organization he's part of, and she shows him a picture of the Mayfair house, wondering basically what it is and where it is. Cyprian's going to talk to his boss to get some protection put on the house because he's afraid of Lasher. And we're going to find out how that went over a little bit later. And then, of course, Cyprian is also talking to Rowan again, and she's basically telling him that he doesn't know how she feels, and she's upset. We're back to my favorite character in here, and that's Cortland. And he is shocked at Deidre's death. Apparently, they're very close. And he's going to be visited by Lasher, who tells him that he does not have the same connection with Rowan that he had with her mom. And I think that's very important because I think this whole series so far has been sort of showing how Rowan is different from all of her prior ancestors. And so I'm going to be interested to see how that ends up coming out. Of course, probably one of the more spooky aspects here is when Carlotta gives the nurse the pendant and sends her downstairs. Now, really, Rowan was supposed to be staying put, but she goes out. It's almost like Mardi Gras in New Orleans or something. And while she's out, she's going to run into this handsome masked man. And, of course, we know that it's Lasher, and she pretty much figures that out, too. And then as she's walking basically back to the apartment, she's going to come by the house here where she meets her mother. This is definitely either a hallucination or most likely it is some type of Lasher interference here. And basically, I think Rowan puts her finger on it that, hey, you're not my mother. And so she knows there's some deceit going on there. So back to the apartment complex, and it is burning down. And, of course, we all know who did that. It's got to be Lasher. And Cyprian goes and uses his power and sees that Lasher was there. But surprisingly, basically around the corner comes Rowan, who wasn't supposed to be gone in the first place. And she's really upset. Basically, the dancing with Lasher, and then the issue with her mom, her fake mom. Carlotta reveals that Lasher is not happy with the nurse having the pendant, and we see her bashing her head into the wall. Moving back to Cyprian and Rowan, they are having dinner. They're talking about everything going on, Lasher, the witchcraft, all those different types of things. And basically how Lasher can get in her head and sort of everything going on with the situation. He is able to look into her mind, and by touching her, and we just see her smile. We don't really see what ends up happening. Okay. Now, basically, we get into a quick scene at the funeral where basically Cortland's daughter, I think that's who she's supposed to be, correct, is showing her around the manor and her history. And we also get a situation here where we're going to be back to the house, or I guess it's a new house since the other one burned down. And so with that, you basically have a situation. We're now actually in episode number 5. I forgot to mention that. And episode 5 started out with basically Rowan hallucinating that she was with, first off with Cyprian, and then she was with Lasher. Basically, we're going to move on, and Carlotta is going to find that the medallion is gone, and she knows Lasher has it. We skip forward to the funeral, and so at the funeral, Cortland is going to have his moment with Deidre, and he does take some hair, and so I wonder what that is actually for. I'm assuming that'll be shown later. We're going to have Rowan show up, and everybody sort of stares at her, and it seems like everybody there knows a lot more than she does. Then we have the door blow open and all these rose petals, and it's meant to be that Lasher is sending his love or whatever to Deidre. And so with that, we're going to end up basically at the funeral, at the gravesite. There is a spooky cameraman who is taking pictures, so we don't know what all that's about. They're going to end back up at the Mayfair house, the main house here. And with that, again, we're going to get to see Rowan sort of looking around the house, looking around at a lot of pictures. There's a lot of history in this house, and Carlotta is going to come in on her here, and basically they're going to have some discussions about her mother. Carlotta has some photos for Rowan so she can sort of see what was going on. And then they're also talking about Ellie. Of course, that was Rowan's adopted mom. And basically, Carlotta is basically pointing out to Rowan here that, you know, Ellie made her what she is today, that she was her mother, and that she is successful today. She's a doctor because of what Ellie did, and that's what Deidre wanted for her. And then she tells a little story about Lasher and Deidre not being powerful enough to stop him, but he came for Carlotta too, and she was. She believed, and she was able to have willpower against him. Then, of course, back to Cortland coming in, and he's going to talk to them about basically, hey, can't we be civil today? Off to the police station, and we have a situation where Cyprian is interrogating the person that they think slit Deidre's throat, and Lasher was possessing him, and we see Lasher come out of him. Another series of chats here with some family members from the witches, and then again, I'm assuming this is Cortland's daughter, and she's going through and basically going through the family tree, all the witches, the the designees, the ones that the house and the name sort of came through. Now, we also find out that Cortland is the one that administers the trust for the designees, which is important. I'm guessing he's going to play a role. Cyprian talking to another one of his bosses. I really didn't get a whole lot into that. Cortland finally meets Rowan, and they're going to end up talking. And we do find out that the house and everything is in Deidre's name, so it's not Carlotta's. So it's Deidre's would have been Deidre's, but now it's Rowan's to do with what she wants. Carlotta's going to come out and sort of force a rosary around Rowan's neck, and it's clear Carlotta and Cortland don't get along really well. Cortland's going to be leaving, and he tells his daughter that Lasher doesn't need their help. Again, a flash scene, Cyprian back at their main location and doing some reading. He's trying to figure out how to help Rowan. Meanwhile, at the Mayfair house, Rowan gets led into some room in the house here, and there laying on the table is the pendant. And she's just, for some reason, going to take the rosary beads off and throw them in the floor. I don't know why she threw them in the floor. It seems a little disrespectful. And she puts on the pendant. Of course, Carlotta sees the cross in the floor, and she is not going to be a happy woman at all. Now, while Cyprian is back doing his investigation, he's going to find a picture of the pendant. He's going to get a text basically from Rowan about the pendant that she has, and he realizes that whoever wears it is basically Lasher's. So we get a dinner here between Carlotta and Rowan, and the big thing here is they're on completely opposite sides of the table. So we know at this point they are not close. They are not really getting along. Carlotta is going to explain to Rowan how Deidre basically made every waking moment of her life a living hell, and she's going to pray for her. And then she basically goes nuts. She tries to burn the place down, it seems like. And as she's doing the burning, Cyprian's going to be trying to rescue Rowan. And as he comes in the door, Carlotta, who has a knife, she's going to end up accidentally stabbing Cyprian. And basically with that, you have a situation here. The house is on fire, and Cyprian is Rowan is getting Cyprian out, and you have a situation where Lasher tells Carlotta that Rowan is already his. And that ends episode 5. All right, now that I'm done with the recap, I do want to just go back through and throw some thoughts and reactions out there. And I'm basically going to start with something that I did mention during the recap, and that is this show is just, the cuts are insane. They just go back way too much. It makes it really hard to follow, and especially trying to do a review. They'll go back for 30 or 40 second shots, and then they'll go to something else, and then they'll go back to what they were at before, and then it seems like completely something different. And it's really hard for me to follow the story and to really try to enjoy what's going on. And I think that's a problem for this show so far. And it's just something, the first 4 episodes have done that a lot. And so I wish they would do something about that. It's really not doing it for me, though. Now, second thing, and I'll just point this out as well, and this is one of my big issues with the show so far, is that the lack of magic. We're making slow progress on the storyline, and it's not necessarily boring because there's plenty of things going on. But the big thing, when you call something Mayfair witches, there needs to be some witchcraft generally going on, I think, most every episode. And a little more than just Cyprian putting his hand on the wall and seeing that Lasher did something, or being able to see that Lasher was the guy that was possessing the guy that killed Deidre. And so with that, I've been very disappointed with that so far in this series. You know, it's like if in Interview with a Vampire, if you had it all there and you never saw vampires, okay? What good is it? And so I'm very disappointed with it in that. Now, I've got to say, one of the positives, I'm very happy with the acting so far. I don't think that has been bad. I've enjoyed it. Alexandra Daddario as Rowan, I think she just sort of hits that character of Rowan about right. She seems a little aloof and just sort of non-believing in all this. And just when she said, she wishes everything could go back to normal, I think that's a telltale sign into her character. But she's not really that likable of character, though. And I think that's maybe part of why Mayfair Witches is lagging behind. And, I'm not sure they're going to be able to catch it up. Of course, the other thing I really like is Harry Hamlin as Cortland. I just wish they were able to get him into more scenes. I think he's sort of the lighthearted moment of the episodes, and I think we could use more of him. And then he's just such a great actor. It would be good just to have him on screen. Now, another thing I do like is they are trying to establish this history of the Mayfair witches. I wish they would go into a little more about Rowan being the 13th witch. We are, halfway through the series right now, and we don't really know what that means or why that's important. I like their attempts at the start of these episodes, especially the last couple, to go back hundreds of years and sort of track the history of the Mayfairs and when Lasher first sort of came about and when he started affecting the witches. But it's not something I don't think we've gotten to the point where we're going to be like, oh, that's big. I think they've still got a lot to go. But I like how they're trying to establish that history, doing the flashbacks to the early witches, and taking us back to basically the time of the Salem witch trials is what they're looking at, to that time period. And so I'm really enjoying that. As a history person, I like seeing things like that. So those are just a few of sort of my thoughts on episodes 3 and 4 together. They were very uneven episodes. I thought episode 3 was not all that great. It sort of seemed like a filler, wasted episode. 4, I thought, did much better. It was a much better grade. I think a lot more going on, more information that we were able to get. And so with that, I do want to give these episodes a grade. And since I'm reviewing them together, I'm going to give them one grade together. And I think that grade is going to be probably a C. And with that, boy, I was really hoping a lot for this series, but I'm just not sure we're going to get there. Now, before I close out, I do just want to thank everybody for their patience on Mayfair Witches. I will try to get the next 2 episodes out as quickly as possible. I have a lot of content I'm trying to get out with everybody right now, and especially now that I have started adding video footage, and I'm trying to get sort of the watch-along type deal going here pretty soon. So thanks for waiting on these Mayfair reactions. Again, I'm going to try to get 5 and 6 out within the next week, and then hopefully we'll mostly be caught up with Mayfair Witches. Now, with that, also please remember, if you have listened this far, if you've watched this far, go to the shorts page and take a look. I have a Teen Wolf short, and I also have my top 10 actors 21 and under. I would really love for people to get that top 10 actors short recognized a little bit. Now, with that, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below. And I'll see you next time on the Fandom Realm.